You know what I've realized? Most people don't actually think for themselves. They literally repeat what they've heard. We let algorithms tell us what's right or wrong, and we call that thinking. We form opinions based on headlines, comments, or someone else's degree. We need to stop letting other people's voices drown out the one that God has placed inside of us. The Bible literally tells us, if we go to Romans chapter 12, verse 12, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. God is literally telling us to not copy the world's way of thinking. He wants us to have mental independence, to learn how to think. That is an important skill that we need to learn in this information age. Hi, my name is Daniela. I am here to teach you guys how to think for yourselves, how to be better, how to elevate your path. This is the name of the podcast, Elevate Her Path, because I want you girls to know that you can do incredible things, but you need to understand how to elevate your path so that you can do those things. And I don't know about you guys, but this is something I've struggled with, to have confidence in the way I think, because I've always let others tell me what's right, what's wrong, and that is not how I'm going to be able to do incredible things this life, because you have to be able to make your own way, your own road. And the only way you're going to be doing that is by having mental independence. Okay, this whole conversation, this whole thing came to my head because of an incident that happened in my life. And that was when I was about, like, how old was I? I'd say I was about 16 years old. There was this guy who I thought was the smartest guy in the room. I was like, oh my gosh, he's so smart. Everything he says is, so incredibly smart. Yes, yes, yes. Whatever you say, I'm going to agree with because you're so highly educated. But that was not the truth, because we took this test and he got most of the answers wrong. And what made him seem so smart was because of the big words he used, because the degree had all these things. But that doesn't define if a person is telling the truth. A lot of us, we believe something is true because of how it's said. For example, if I were to start speaking like this, would you really trust me? No, you wouldn't trust me. Trust a voice who has certainty to how they speak. And that is how I'm speaking right now. That's why you believe everything I'm saying, right? I have my own biases. You have your own biases as well. And that's where we have to be careful as individuals who have access to so much information nowadays. That's the problem. We have access to so much information nowadays that can affect what we believe, how we act, what we do. And I want you guys to live the life that you guys want to live. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is by honing in on your voice, not other people's opinions, but your own. And the life that God has given you will come from that. The only reason I thought he was the smartest was because he was so certain. And confidence is everything, okay? That's where I had to challenge myself. I had to grab more knowledge. I had to research. I had to learn. I had to observe. I had to question for me to have confidence in myself and be able to form my own opinion. Since we are living in the information age, knowledge is everywhere. Okay, knowledge is everywhere, but wisdom is rare. Wisdom is something that we're lacking. We scroll for 3 hours, taking in hundreds of different opinions every single day, but we never pause to question if they're even right. I do this, you do this, okay? We let influencers tell us what is true, or politicians, or AI, and headlines, all these things. And the thing is, all of it is edited for emotion purposes, not for logic. That's where that's extremely dangerous. So, how do we survive in a world where lies spread faster than truth? We need to slow down and ask ourselves, who told me this? Why do I believe this? And what do I gain if I agree? When you start questioning, you will stop getting manipulated. When you learn to think, not just consume, you take back your own power. That is what I want for you guys. I want you guys to have your own power. When you have clarity, you take back your power. If you are consumed with all these different opinions, you will have lack of clarity and you will just go wherever the river takes you because you don't understand what is going on. There's actually this psychological skill that's called metacognition, and it's becoming aware of your own beliefs, thinking about what you actually think about, and asking yourself questions like, am I thinking about this, or do I believe this because it's logical or because it's emotionally convenient? Because if you believe something so strongly, you'll subconsciously ignore anything else that goes against that belief. And that's where we have to be cautious, because that can cause a lot of damage in your life. So it's time to train yourself to have metacognition. Learn what you know, understand why you believe what you believe, and focus on those things so that you can take away the patterns that do not serve you anymore. Your God given right is to have discernment. And that's where I hope this video is nudging at you to think deeper, to think a little bit deeper. Stop thinking passively. Stop letting other people's opinions affect you. Okay? How do we do that? We start by observing. We research, reflect, decide. All those four. Number one is to observe. Okay, when someone makes a claim, what evidence do they have for that? To research, check multiple perspectives. See, one person's opinion doesn't mean it's right. Okay, so research about it. What are other people's opinions? What do other people believe about that? Number three is reflect. Okay, reflect on it. Align with truth, or is it just because it's popular? Like, really reflect on that. And then decide for your own conclusion. You can have your own opinions. You are allowed to have your own opinions. And if it's against most people, that is totally fine. You are okay to be different. It's totally fine. That is your prerogative. That is your right. You're going to educate yourself by watching documentaries, by studying for real, by taking the time to listen to opposing views. All these things, you're going to make the time for it because you want to have your own certainty. You want to have your own opinions, and you're going to make it because the people who think for themselves, they do take the time to research, to educate themselves. And I'm sorry, you are not going to be a leader. You are not going to get to where you want to be by just scrolling all the time, by listening to other people's views. No, you have to research for your own views, for your own opinions. That's how you're going to get somewhere if you really want to. Because here at Elevate Her Path, I help you guys get to your fullest potential, and that's how you're going to get there. Yeah, by doing the hard things like studying. I know studying it's not my favorite thing either, but I do it because I know it's going to help me in the long run. Thinking for yourself means to have the humility to learn and the courage to question. Now listen to this. Our generation is not based on truth, but it's based on how quickly we can get the information, okay? Information retains by the quickness of it. Everyone wants quick answers, hot takes, strong opinions. But as true thinkers, as people who are going to think for themselves, we have to be able to sit with the tension of not knowing if it's right or wrong, and researching about it and taking the time to see if you agree with it or not. That is something that's rare, but that is a valuable skill that we need to have. It's crazy to me because we'd rather sound right than be right. Like, dang, it's so true because I've done it so many times too, where I just say an answer that I think is right because they're gonna like it instead of saying the real thing, or at least just saying, yeah, no, sorry, I don't know the answer. Like, being real, because we want to sound right, because we want to sound smart. But honestly, sometimes trying to sound smart makes you more ignorant because you're pushing out foolish words because you don't even know what you're saying. And that right there is something that we need to be careful with as a generation, because a lot of people nowadays are doing that. They're just putting out information that they know everyone's going to want to hear, not what's the truth. And that's why a lot of people don't know who they are. They don't know what they want because there's so many lies being spread and there's such little truth being spread in this world right now. There's such little truth being said in this world right now. And that's why we're in this place. And before you know it, you'll realize you're living someone else's life because you're filled with lies. You're filled with lies by then. That's why you have to be careful with what you say and what you receive and what you do. Those are important things that come with, trying to live a truthful life. And that's why we're talking about this. I'm asking you guys to think for yourselves because a lot of the things people are saying is BS. It's not the truth. And I don't want you guys to one day wake up realizing you're living all these lies, because that is not the life God wants for you. He doesn't want you to live in lies. He wants you to live in truth. He didn't create us to all be the same, to have the same opinions. He created us to be different, to be individuals who are unique and capable of partnership with him, and capable of so much more than spreading lies or trying to win other people's approval. You have so much potential. And that's why you clicked on this video, because you know you have so much potential, because you want to think for yourself, because you want a better life for yourself. And that is something that I want for you. But you have to be okay with being different, or not knowing the answer yet, or researching, or doing things a little differently than the average person. The average person is following everyone else. And when you don't lead, you follow. And this world right now is not the best world to follow. It's filled with sin, it's filled with lust, it's filled with envy, it's filled with money, it's filled with these things that do not complete you. Or the only person who can complete you is Jesus. And that's why I'm asking you guys to think for yourselves, because being Christians, you're gonna have to think for yourselves. If you want to be a leader, you're gonna have to think for yourself. You have to be aware of what's going on. Yes, you have to drown out the noise, but I also think that you need to shift from awareness to action. When you're listening to someone, you don't have to reject what they believe. No, 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 no. I want you to be enabled to be able to discuss with them, engage with them on that specific topic, on that specific opinion. You need to get so smart that you can debate with them, or you can say the truth. That's why studying for yourself, educating yourself, taking the time to do those things is crucial, essential for you to live a life that's your own. The smartest people I know are just the most curious people, okay? They don't just accept information, they review it, they analyze, they dissect it. They look for patterns, for logic, for the truth. That's what they're looking for. Skill is not just for intellectuals, for the smartest people. It's for everyone, because right now, AI is generating everything. News, deep fakes can imitate voices now. All these different things are happening, and we need to be up in speed with that. We need to be able to combat those lies that are going to be spread even more now than before, because of AI and what's going on. And people are just trying to spread all these lies so that we can just be filled with fear, be filled with lust, be filled with all these things that do not serve us. Anything can be manipulated now. That's the power that bad people hold now. And as people of God, as good people, as righteous people, I want you guys to be able to spread the truth, to say the truth, to do the truth, to do the righteous thing. And in this world, truth seekers will be the one who thrive. Okay, I believe that, because they can't be manipulated by every headline. The people who will rise will be the thinkers, the discerners, the leaders, the ones who ask the hard questions. Those will be the people who go up to the top. And I know just nodding at everyone, being agreeable, is the easiest route, but it's also the most expensive, because you will miss out on the benefits of being different. Because when you are different, when you are able to live your own life, you reap incredible things. I do believe that, because you're going to be able to live your own life. You'll be able to do your own things. That's something that's so powerful that I think a lot of us want, but we're scared to, because we will have to be disagreeable. But being disagreeable is an amazing thing, or amazing position to be in, because that means that you have the privilege to be disagreeable. You have a voice to be disagreeable. That is totally fine to be disagreeable. That doesn't mean you're an inconvenience. It doesn't mean any of that. And if you continue to be ignorant, it will cost you a lot. It will be expensive, because you will have to live a life that is average. But I know that you want to live life that's here. And if you want to live life that's here, you're going to have to be okay with being different. You're going to have to be okay with not looking like everyone else. And being a truth seeker is hard sometimes, but it's the best thing to be. Okay. I really hope that this helped you guys in some ways. I hope it changed how you think about stuff. It really got you thinking. And that's all I have for you guys today. Think about what you think about. What are you feeding your mind? All these things, and start having your own mental independence. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.